All right, what's up, everybody? So, this is my first ever live. Never really done anything like this before. So, where do I even see? Okay, there's where people are viewing. Cool. All right, so I'm just gonna talk until people start listening. I'm a dad. I have three children, a wife, a job. I like to talk about like martial arts and anything that has to do with fighting, things like that. Oh, nice, someone's watching. Thanks for tuning in and watching me. I really appreciate you watching. So we're just discussing just martial arts, anything and everything martial arts. So if you want to comment or just ask questions or contribute to the conversation, or if you want to leave, that's fine too. Um, but so in my opinion, I think I'm just going to like start naming combinations of different martial arts that I think go well together. So I think boxing and wrestling is a really good combination of arts to do because with boxing you have solid footwork. You know what I mean? Like you're always going to be able to outmaneuver the person you're trying to engage with, or it's really slick head movement and the way you move your body. You already have that solid stance to where you can easily slip into wrestling very easily. And with the wrestling being mixed with boxing, it really helps like close that gap, like you're going to know how to defend against punches. And once you learn how to, if even though you learn boxing, if you just learn how to defend against kicks and keep your boxing skill and then learn to wrestle, you're going to be able to beat up like a lot of people. A lot of people. Another good combination, in my opinion, is karate and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And the reason I think that is because number one, and this is gonna sound weird, but they're both Japanese styled arts. And so I think it's cool that they come from like the same part of the world. And that okay, so whenever if you're a karate practitioner and you go into a jakusuki, and you dip down low and you lunge forward to go for your second strike, right? You can easily, very easily, when you dip down and go for that midsection shot, you can easily slip in and do your jujitsu. You can take them down, do a one-legged takedown, and give him an arm bar, or whatever it is that you find effective. What's another good example of one? Hmm. It's got to be one. Let me think. Oh yeah, Muay Thai. Absolutely love Muay Thai. Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Beautiful, beautiful combination of martial arts. So, give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up more list of them. See what we can put together. How do you share your screen on here? What did I just do? What did I just do? Okay, here's another one. Can you learn martial arts from home? Let's put that question in the chat. Can you learn martial arts from home? Not from from home. In my opinion, I think you can. I 100% think you can. You can learn martial arts from home because in this modern day and age, people are getting degrees, people are, getting their full education 100% online, you know, and with some in my opinion now, it's like this, like, you'll learn the martial art, of course, you'll learn katas, you'll learn whatever moves, you learn how to do them, and you can be effective while doing it. There's I'll see if I can post a link down low, but, if you ever heard of Blackie Chan, from Street Beefs, like, when he first started, he most of it was he taught himself, you know? So, think about it though, like, there's think about back in, like, the ancient days before there were TVs and iPhones and things like that, like, people weren't just taking, like, scrolls and taking the pictures and doing all these illustrations to show people these moves if it didn't have any sort of benefit to it, you know what I mean? So if you're in a situation where you can't, like, get to a gym or you don't know anyone who trains in martial arts who can teach you anything, and all you have is YouTube and some books and willpower, you can learn a lot. Now, will you become like a UFC champion? I don't think so. I mean, if any of you know of someone who's a UFC champion or Bellator champion or fight champion who's never taken any classes and learned it all themselves, please show me. I really would like to see and study them because I want to do what they did. So I don't have to pay for classes. So if y'all know anyone who did, like, please let me know. A lot of these topics that I originally wanted to talk about, I thought would take a lot longer to talk about. But I'm just gonna keep talking until people talk back. I have to do this more often. This is pretty cool. What else can I do on here? Another point I want to add is that, how do I put it? It could be just as bad going to a bad school that's going to teach you bad techniques than being isolated from other people and training, like, on your own, and then you still learn bad habits that you taught yourself. It doesn't really matter who taught you the bad habits if you were taught bad habits, whether it's yourself or a coach. So when you do go to a class, make sure it's a good coach and he knows what he's doing. I can't tell you how many times, like, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant when I say I can't tell you how many times I went to a dojo, right? And, like, I genuinely believed that, like, I could beat up everybody in the gym. And I was just would think, what's the point in taking a fighting class if there's no fighting Oh, that's another thing. Sparring culture. Don't get me started on that. Like, this is a little bit of a rant. Like, why don't we spar anymore? Like, I'm gonna talk a little bit of trash about some people. Like, first off, why are we dancing? Like, why are we spending so much time in rows and in lines doing the same 16 moves over and over again? It's one thing to do your katas. It's another thing to, do the katas for, sharpening your moves and whatnot. But it's a whole other thing when you don't you're just doing the moves to do the moves because someone showed you the moves to do them, but not actually how to use the move when you're fighting somebody. You know, you're moving with intention, but don't know where the intention is going. And in my opinion, that's not good for the karate community, for taekwondo, for for really any martial art, especially striking martial arts, especially minus boxing and Muay Thai. That's different. That's completely different. I'm talking about stuff more like Shaolin, kung fu, Shaolin Wushu, taekwondo, karate, aikido, stuff like that. The reason why people aren't sticking to these martial arts is because when people come into these classes, they want to be and look badass. But you look silly just sitting there dancing and not sparring. And then when you do spar from not knowing what you're doing, you're gonna get frustrated because you're gonna get pieced up by someone who does know what they're doing. So there needs to be a change where we need to spar like they do in karate combat. We need to get these gloves on. We need to get in these dojos, do our katas, do the traditional stuff, but we got to implement that realistic sparring. We got to, like, I understand it's about getting points, competition, but a lot of people are taking these arts misinformed. They thinking that it's gonna help them when in reality you're not. That's another thing. If you want to learn how to defend yourself, like if you're like worried in the scenario of, oh, I'm a mom or I'm a dad or I'm like anyone that's anybody and I don't want to get beat up or I want to get away from someone trying to beat me. Don't just don't take any traditional martial arts class. Just don't do it. It's not going to help you. You're going to spend more time learning other things. So if you want to actually know how to defend yourself without having to worry about, like, is this actually going to be effective? Take an MMA class, take a boxing class, take a Muay Thai class, right? Take a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, and in a lot of cases, take a judo class. Usually, if it's a grappling class and they spar, or yeah, take a wrestling class. All that stuff, you're good. Striking, boxing, Muay Thai. You take a boxing or Muay Thai class, usually, or kickboxing. You'll find some good kickboxing classes, but sometimes you'll also find the just cardio kickboxing classes. But that helps too if you know how to kick and punch. But doing like I can see it right now. Like, think about it. Who's gonna be scared of someone who stands like this? If like, how is that going to help you? It's not. It's just one of those things. Oh yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind. And this is a tip that I wish I would have known when, like, I was younger. Okay, if you know martial arts, you know how to defend yourself, and you're on that scene. You really know what you're doing. Be mindful of how you're using it. Like if you're fighting somebody and you know Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and you put them in a chokehold and you choke them, and now they're passed out on the ground, and you're like this, when the police show up, but there's someone unconscious that you just choked out when you didn't have to. Yeah, there's self-defense, but you have to understand use of force. So if you're a martial arts practitioner or if you just are into self-defense or anything like that, just 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 be mindful that there's also the law in use of force. Like if someone pushes you, you can't just pick them up over your head and slam them and then break their arm. You can't do that. You know what I mean? You have to match the amount of force. I'll tell you a story. So there was one time I got into a physical altercation myself. And this was in a I can't, it's the internet, so I can't really, say the state, but it was in a place where the self-defense laws were kind of, let's just say they weren't the best if you were the person trying to defend yourself, right? And after, I got into the fight, and I did just the right techniques. I made sure that I didn't leave any visible, just, his face wasn't all messed up like that and his eye all like that, all punched up. I didn't do any of that. I made sure that I stopped him. I made sure I took him down, made sure he couldn't get back up to harm me. And I spoke to the police officer after I called and, like, did all my due diligence. And he said that if I would have fought him, the person I was in altercation with, any harder than I did. Like, about he specifically said if I were to have UFC ground and pounded that man, I would have went to jail, even though he entered my home, threatened my family, and I still had to defend myself. So be mindful. There's a difference between the law and then there's what's right and wrong. There's a difference between being a skillful fighter and knowing what you can do and then there's knowing what you should do. So be mindful. Please, please, please be mindful of the self-defense. Oh, thank you for watching, by the way. Um, the laws, that part of martial arts that people don't understand as well is using this to fight your battles. Yeah, yeah, of course. If you can talk your way out of it, perfect. You win every fight you don't get into. But if you do choose to, okay, let me show you. Okay, so show me what this looks like. You talked about my mother. I want to fight you. All right, I'm fighting you. Like my fists are balled up. I'm looking at you like I want to hurt you. This is fighting. This is not self defense. But watch the difference between I just do a subtle thing. See the difference? I can anything that I can do with my hands open, I can do with them closed. I can fight just as well with my hands closed as I can do open. But we live in an age where people will video what you're doing. Like everyone has cameras. There's cameras everywhere. So if the police look at someone's footage and they see you like this, fist balled up, look at them in the eye like that, like you really want to hurt them, then you're going to jail too because you didn't defend yourself. You was in a fight. But my hands open like this, I'm kind of backed up like, hey man, I really don't want any problems. And you're doing this. People are going to see this in the camera. See? Versus, but I can still defend myself. So keep that in mind, and even play up the role a little bit. Play up the role. So it's undeniable that you the victim. You didn't want no problems. You know, if someone bumps into you on the bar and they're like, "Oh, you gonna fight me? I'll beat your ass." Hey, bro, I don't want no problem. Now you want me to buy you a drink, man? Like I don't want no issues. Like you know, and then buy them the drink and walk away, or don't buy them a drink and just walk away. Whatever it is, just really try to avoid it. If the fight is unavoidable, then that's when that switch happens. That's when that it goes from I'm cool, I'm collected to okay, you've disrespected me. Now I'm gonna have to hurt you. You know, which is not the most ideal situation. But if you are put in that situation, the best thing to do is to make sure that when it's all said and done, you don't come out catching any legal charges or making new enemies. Because remember, everyone you get into a fight with, everybody you have a problem with, everybody you have an altercation with, that person has friends and that person has family. You can piss off one person, and next thing you know, you got 10 or 12 people who now don't like you because even if it wasn't even your fault, even if it was the other person messing with you, now you made more enemies when you didn't have to. So keep that in mind. What's another thing that grinds my gears, or I think is a good thing to mention? Also, if you have any questions, or if you want to do a certain topic or anything, or if you want to talk about a certain topic or anything, please feel free to comment here in the chat, and we'll definitely talk about it. Awesome. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let's see here. We can talk about. Oh man. So this is my opinion. Okay, all schools need to teach self defense. Period. Every single one of them. Do you know how and I'm a parent, like I have kids. I train my students, not my students. Well, I had students, but I trained my kids at 4 months old. My daughter started her training about 2 weeks ago. Okay? I'll give y'all a story, okay? And this is the prime example why I say this. My son is about to be 4, and I've been training him his whole life because, I'm a traveler, I move around a lot, and even if that's in the same city, a lot of movement going on. And you never know who or what you're around. You never know what you can encounter. So this one time he was at the park and his mom was with him. Now, no, his mom at the time, my wife, we're together still, happily married. That she was with him and she was pregnant, like big pregnant, not no little pregnant. Like we've been going at it for like 5 months, and she was good and pregnant, right? And so my my son was at the playground. She was holding my daughter, and she said this creepy, like middle aged man came up behind my son and started trying to like grab him a little bit. And let me tell you, my son turned around and pushed the man like from him the best he could and ran away from him. And I have a video on it on my page as well, if you want to hear me say the story again. But um, to me, that's textbook self defense. That to me, that's the difference between if you have a child or a niece or nephew or a small person to watch. That's your responsibility. Having them know just anything, just anything to keep someone off of them makes a huge difference. It's the difference between you walking away stress free because your kid knew what they had to do, or you stressed out because you almost, you know. So it's one of those things. Also, it's really, in my opinion, it's also important if you're a parent or if you're responsible for another human, or if you're a big brother or any big sister, even the little sisters. In my opinion, like knowing how to defend yourself, knowing how to handle that primal situation you find yourself in is just as important. This is my opinion. If you do not agree, please comment. We can talk about it. But having that skill to be able to defend yourself successfully to me is just as important as having a degree, as having a job, is just as important as eating healthy, being in shape, and being the best human primate you can be physically. Even if you have no fight skill at all, even if you can just push someone off of you and you don't know how to throw a punch. You throw a punch like that, but you can get someone off of you. You know what I mean? So as a parent, or if you're having to take care of anyone, please do yourself a favor and do me a favor and be in shape. If even if it's you take a couple walks a week, or if you are intense and you want to train like you're Batman, whatever, wherever it's the walking or the Batman training, whatever in between, just make sure you're doing something to keep you going, because they're depending on you. Hell, I train with my kids. I literally will hold. I have videos on this if you don't believe me on my page, that I'll hold my kids and throw punches and kicks. I can hold up to 3 kids and throw kicks. I'm working when me and my wife finally, when we play Tetris, um we'll there go my kids right there.
No, sir.
Hang on.
Bed.
For confidentiality.
Good night.
Come on,
No.
kids.
No. Wrong way. Good night. I'm sorry.
My viewers went away. It's okay. I'll get
People are
more.
allergic to kids.
Yeah, it's one of the things. What
That's so
yes.
funny. You had 2 viewers all that time, and you said my kid, and they did.
I was like, there go my kid right there. Dude.
Click, click. Kids are annoying as fuck. I love them, but kids
Oh
are
man,
annoying as
babe,
fuck.
you're on my.
What? They are. Everybody
Oh
knows
my
that is a
god, honey,
universal.
I am live as fuck right now. Like, let's talk about that later.
About kids being
Yeah,
annoying as fuck.
yes, baby, I'm live.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
trying to talk
Okay.
about martial arts. And you talk about here. Okay, now I got to get back. I was on a roll. You know what I mean? I have my audience. It's all good though. We'll figure out. Um, what else can I talk about today? What is The best martial art. Let's type that in. What is the best martial? All right. Okay. Let's do another one. Well, let's just do this one. Okay. What's the best martial art? I'll tell you. It's all of them mixed together in a giant sandwich that you must consume in the form of MMA. Because there just isn't one best martial art. That's like saying what's the best gun? What's the best car? They all have different purposes, different things. They're all trying to answer the same question with cars. How do I get from point A to point B? To band-aids. How do I stop bleeding? You know what I mean? It's the same thing in martial arts. How do I not let this person beat me up? Is it and it's kind of like what part of the fight did the person focus on? A lot of people are like, man, if it hits the ground, I really want to know what to do if I get on the ground. And then other people are like, I want to know what to do before I even get to the ground because the fight starts standing. So, in my opinion, I'll tell you, grappling is more effective than striking. And in my opinion, here's why grappling is more effective than striking is because when you're grappling with somebody, you can't back up, or if you do try to back up from them, you get pulled right back into the fight, and there's always point of contact. So like the pacing of having to strategize what the heck you're going to do is a lot different. So if I'm over here trading punches with somebody, I can slow down a little bit. I can make a game plan and set them up in a completely different way than as if I am grappling them. If I do as much as move my arm in the wrong position while I'm on top of someone, they can turn over and dislocate my arm. You know what I mean? Or if I'm not focused, I can get submitted like that. But you can also get knocked out very quickly as well if you don't know what you're doing. But here's the way I look at it. Take 100 people and have them defend themselves against someone throwing a punch at them. Naturally, most of them would either do something like this, oh God, don't hit me, or like this, oh, or they'll block it. But what do you do when you're. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Did you just exit it?
No, I'm trying to figure out how I can pause this because I don't want my son in the video.
I don't know if that's a thing. You're live.
We'll just have my finger over it until I can get my son out of the video.
Well, can you have your finger over so I can walk past? Because I'm like sitting here and trying to walk by. Oh, it's still like, oh. It's okay. Everybody's naked under their clothes.
Okay, well, is my son still here?
No, he walked out, but you know that Peppa Pig is playing hella loud in the background. Son, close your door.
It's just one of those things. All right, so I've been doing this for like about 30 minutes, and I'll be back maybe tomorrow.
Thank you.
And it'll probably be a bit earlier in the night instead of doing it so late because I do got work in the morning. You know what I mean? So, I guess I'll end the stream and hope whoever watched it got something out of it. And I guess I'll come up with some better topics to talk about tomorrow because I damn near don't even want to talk about martial arts like right now. I'm going to talk about something different, but I don't have anything in particular in mind that I want to talk about. And since you're in the video already, babe, do you have any topics to talk about?
Oh, so many, but none relating to anything at all what you're talking about.
But it doesn't matter at this point. I could give a shit. I know it's labeled the martial arts, but I mean, I could just close the stream and open up another one if you want to be in it.
Black people leave America!
On that note, I'm just going to start another stream. I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks everybody for watching.